BATE Borisov against Chelsea in the fourth round of the Europa League group stages. With a win securing promotion to the knockout stages, Chelsea will take the game seriously. Also shown by the fact that Eden Hazard did travel to Belarus and will play a part of the game according to SARRI. To find out everything you need to know ahead of the game, players that didn't travel, absentees and more, make sure you watch all of this preview. Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my preview of the BATE Borisov versus Chelsea game, of course in the Europa League, with the game taking place tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon if you will, in Borisov, in the Borisov arena. And kickoff is at 5:55 UK time, so make sure you remember that and it's not late in the evening, it's at 5:55 UK time. But yeah, I am looking forward to it as much as I am looking forward to these Europa League group stage games. But, as a win can secure promotion to the knockout stages, and also, if the other game ends in a draw, we can even secure, to finish top of the group, with only 4 games played. That would obviously be great, so I'm kind of looking forward to it in that sense. Before getting into the preview, I'd massively appreciate it if you guys could follow me over on my social media, basically on Instagram and Twitter. On Twitter, it'd be very nice to hit 3,000 followers. That's not too far away from that. Multiple thousand people watch these previews. If you just want to head over there and follow me, it's Laos1507 on both Instagram and Twitter, as you can see over here. And also links to both of them are down in the descriptions. If you could follow me over there, that'd be absolutely class. And also, let's see whether we can hit 500 or more likes in this video. That would be massively appreciated, so make sure you smash that like button down below. But now getting into that preview, and obviously I already spoke about BATE, in quite a lot of detail 2 weeks ago before, the home game against them. So if you didn't, watch that at that time and, want some background info on the club, on BATE Borisov, click the card up there to watch that, because I'm obviously not just going to repeat the exact same things, that I said at the time. But since playing against us, they've played 3 games, winning all of 3, obviously in the Belarusian league. And with those 3 wins, also securing their 13th consecutive title in the Belarusian Premier League, as they currently sit 14 points clear at the top with only 3 games to go. And obviously fair play to them, congratulations. Of course their league isn't exactly the most difficult, clearly. But, 13 consecutive title wins in a row is impressive no matter where you do it. So fair play. Usually I would say that BATE at their ground is a good bit different to them going away. Seeing as, like, for example, they beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League, a few years ago as well, when they played them in Belarus. But then in the second round of this Europa League group stage, they were battered 4-1 at home by PAOK, so maybe that doesn't really stand all that much anymore. I'm not sure, we'll have to wait and see, obviously. And to be honest, after having played all 3 of our group stage opponents, at least judging from the games against us, BATE certainly looked the worst from the lot. Frankly, the 3 opponents are probably all on a very similar level, considering BATE beat Vidi, in Hungary on the first match day. Then PAOK, like I said, beat BATE, on the second day. And then on the last match day, Vidi won away at PAOK. So, they're all on 3 points and they all seem to be on a very similar level. But what will be interesting to see is whether BATE will change, their approach for the game against us now compared to the game 2 weeks ago. Maybe try to press a little bit more, try attack more, especially as they're at home now. I don't know, maybe change the formation from the 4-3-3 that they went with last time and what they also go with usually. We'll have to wait and see about that, but it will be interesting whether they'll try something different. As ever though, just because they were poor against us and PAOK as well, doesn't mean that we should and can afford to underestimate them in the slightest. But of course, we're still the favourites and are expected to win. But to be honest, today that's really it about our opponents, about BATE, as I obviously spoke about them in quite a lot of detail 2 weeks ago already. So that's really it about our opponent, and now getting into Sarri's and Mateo Kovacic's pre-match press conference. Now firstly, Sarri stated that says Fabregas is actually the only absentee as he is suffering from a fever. And will be out for the game basically, even though he did travel to Belarus, which I don't really get. Like, that doesn't really make much sense to me because, the team only flew out this morning. So unless that fever only kicked in, on the plane, on the flight, or unless, they think he might be fine to be on the bench, tomorrow just in case and will be fine by then, I don't really get why he travelled. Surely if he has a fever, just leave him at home and let him rest, but, it is what it is, but I don't really understand. And then contrary to some reports over the last few days, Eden Hazard did travel with the squad, and Sarri said that after speaking to the doctors and them saying that there's no risk in playing Hazard and that he's fully over his back problem, his back issue that he obviously suffered against Manchester United, Sarri decided that it's better for him to play than stay at home to just get into the flow kind of thing a little bit more after obviously being out for 2 weeks, and said that Hazard will play more tomorrow, something around 45-50 minutes and, play more than he did against Palace on the weekend where he obviously only got 30 minutes. Kovacic, like I said, was then the player that spoke, to the media, as is usually the case with these European press conferences. And the main thing that Kovacic, said, the main thing to take from what he said, is that he's very determined to improve on his goal scoring and assisting. As he says, especially the goal scoring is something that is missing from his career. But yeah, also the press conference, not really that much to it today. So now getting straight into Chelsea. But obviously before talking about a possible lineup, it has to be mentioned that all of Morata, Rüdiger, Alonso, David Luiz and Victor Moses did remain in London and didn't travel with the squad to rest and obviously train at Cobham. While at the same time, like I said, Hazard obviously did travel, as well as Olivier Giroud, who is back from his minor injury, obviously his fatigued leg, and will obviously with Morata, not having travelled, obviously Giroud will then start. Obviously I mentioned Moses there as well. He stayed in London, but that obviously isn't, being left behind to rest him, but, he's just not part of the squad. Like, he's not part of Sarri's plans. That's why he didn't travel. But the others obviously getting a break after playing a lot recently, like I said already, just to train a little bit. Basically, Willian is the only player that never gets a rest because, like, yes, I know Morata played the last 3 games and the other players play a lot as well. But Willian started the last 10 games in a row and he travelled. He never gets a rest. But yeah, and just as a reminder, in case you forgot, Danny Drinkwater isn't part of our Europa League squad. He wasn't named in our 23 or 25 man squad for the Europa League at the start of the season. So, he isn't with the team, of course, on this trip, but he wasn't, like, left out of this game in particular. But now speaking about the lineup, obviously Kepa started all of the Europa League games so far, so I expect him to do so again tomorrow. And I also expect the same back four as we've seen in all of our midweek games recently. That is Zappacosta as the right back, Emerson Palmieri as the left back, and then Gary Cahill and Andreas Christensen as the 2 centre backs. Although I do have to say I find it a bit risky to leave both of Antonio Rüdiger and David Luiz at home. I mean, of course, we do have Ampadu who did travel, as did Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Ampadu will most likely be the option on the bench just in case, we have any issues with the 2 centre backs, say injury-wise or whatever. But I still find it a little bit risky, but, fair play, and let's hope it goes well. Now, coming to the midfield, and that I find a little bit trickier to predict. Now, I just can't see Ethan Ampadu starting. Sarri hasn't ever used him in midfield. Obviously, plays there for Wales, but hasn't been used there by Sarri. Just can't see it happening. And so with Fabregas being ill, Jorginho, I'm pretty sure I'm almost certain will start. Now in the home tie against BATE, our midfield 2 ahead of Jorginho consisted of Loftus-Cheek and Mateo Kovacic. Against Derby County last week, Kante started next to Kovacic and Loftus-Cheek started on the wing. Now I do hope that Kante doesn't start, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does. It's an away game. It's a little bit different, a little bit trickier than it was at home, where Kante obviously didn't start. Maybe he will start in tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if he does, like I said, but I hope that he doesn't. Kovacic is a little bit more defensively capable than both Loftus-Cheek and Barkley, so I can't see Ruben and Barkley starting together, but, I'm kind of hoping for and think it will be Kovacic and Loftus-Cheek that start in midfield, obviously ahead of Jorginho, like I just said. Now, of course, like I said already, Morata hasn't travelled, so Giroud will start up front, but the question is obviously about Hazard. Sarri said he'll play more than he did on Sunday when he obviously came on after around 60 minutes. He said he will play 45-50 minutes. 45-50 minutes can mean a lot of things. Like, it can mean come on at half time and including injury time at the end. Basically, it's about 45-50 minutes that he's playing. But he could obviously start the game and only play until half time, only come on at half time. Impossible to tell, impossible to predict in my opinion. I mean, of course, as always, I would love for Callum Hudson-Odoi to start and get some minutes, but let's be honest, he won't start the game. Maybe he'll come on, but he won't start. So if Hazard doesn't start, expect Willian to Pedro to start again, as obviously they did against Palace and obviously as they did against Burnley as well. If Hazard does start though, I really hope that Willian is the one that finally gets a rest and that it's Pedro that starts on the other side. Then ideally, maybe Willian and Callum Hudson-Odoi both would come on to replace, both Hazard and Pedro. But of course, also if Hazard doesn't start, it could just be Hazard and Callum Hudson-Odoi replacing both Willian and Pedro, at halftime or throughout the second half. That would obviously be good. Generally, to be honest, I'm getting a little bit tired of repeating the same thing in every preview over and over again. But as ever, keep the ball, dominate the game, make the opponent run, don't make silly mistakes, move well, move the ball quickly, create chances and take chances. If we do that, we're going to win. I say it basically every video, but it just stands, every game. With the system that we're playing right now, that's mostly what we have to stick to. If we do all of those things well, we're going to beat most teams basically, with, the odd exception like Man City, for example. If we do that, we're probably going to win basically. In the group right now, as I said already, kind of hinted on already before, we are, on top of the group with maximum of 9 points, with all the other 3 teams, PAOK, VD, and of course BATE, all level on 3 points. Which means a win will secure promotion to the knockout stages, and if VD versus PAOK, which obviously takes place tomorrow as well, ends in a draw, us beating BATE would even secure us finishing top of the group, which would obviously be perfect, in every aspect basically, because that would allow us to, start the likes of Keller Hudson-Odoi, Ampadu, and maybe even Martin Bulka, in goal, and makes the busy upcoming period in December especially a little bit less stressful. But of course, we can't control what happens between VD and PAOK. Of course, if they draw, that'd be great. But what we can obviously control is that we win tomorrow. So, with that in mind, let's make sure we get that win and at least secure promotion to the knockout stages. And if everything goes perfectly and the other game ends in a draw, let's even secure, finishing first in the group. That would obviously be great. But coming to my score prediction, I actually think, I have a feeling that it's going to end in the same result as it did at Stamford Bridge, in a 3-1 victory for ourselves, for Chelsea. But I don't think it's going to be as convincing as it was at Stamford Bridge, where yes, we won 3-1, but at home we really should have scored like 5 or 6, if not more, and really shouldn't have conceded the goal we did concede. That was a silly free kick to give away, and then not great defending for them to obviously get the goal back, late on. But yeah, that's really it for me. Leave me all of your thoughts ahead of the game down in the comment section below. Are you annoyed about Hazard obviously making the trip or possibly playing quite a bit of the game as well? I've seen a lot of people, especially on Twitter, be quite annoyed about him, wanting him to get a rest. I don't mind it at all. SARRI and Sola both have said previously that Hazard, to be at his peak, he needs to play a lot of football. So to kind of get back into the flow, missing 2 weeks of football isn't a lot, but it is a little bit. You lose some fitness, and playing in a game like that will obviously help him to be fully on it against Everton. And then obviously after the international break, we play Tottenham away, which is obviously a huge game where we need Hazard completely on it for that, let's be honest. So I don't really mind it, but any other thoughts you have ahead of the game, your score predictions and your predicted lineups, all of it down in the comment section below. Like I said in the beginning, let's see whether we can hit 500 or more likes on this video. That would be massively appreciated, so make sure you smash that like button down below. Of course, don't forget to check out my social media, which is last7 on both Instagram and Twitter, as you can see over here, and also the links to both of them are down in the description, so if you could follow me over there, I would massively appreciate that. And obviously this is YouTube, so if you haven't already, do make sure you subscribe to 100% Chelsea, and also don't forget to hit the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all uploads so you don't miss any of our future videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, up to Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.